All right, so from the last video, I said that these gears were like stripped, because they're really rounded over. And after doing some research online and looking up these parts brand new, turns out that that is what the gears are supposed to look like. They are supposed to be kind of rounded over like that. Compared to those, which those are what, normal gears look like. But for this winch, the drive gear splining into the spool, that's what they're supposed to look like. So my original assumption of that this planetary gear set was bad was wrong, which is great. So it turns out all of these gears are good. So, well, okay. One exception, though. Back to this one. There's something wrong with this. So if I take this here and I spin it, well, okay, sure. Now it sounds nice. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's clicking. There we go. That one's pretty bad. So the bearings on the, and I assume this is the primary drive gear set. The bearings on this one are messed up. There we go. That sounds bad. The bearings on this are pretty bad, but because of what the winch is, this turns at a high speed. That splines into this little tiny gear, which drives that and that and that and that. The overall gear ratio, when you get to these gears, they're turning very slowly. So I am not concerned about this for now. Maybe at a later date, I'm going to get a new, maybe just I don't know. Maybe I'll just get an all new winch altogether. But for now, what we'll get into is the assembly. All right, so I'm going to show how to do this with all of these gears. So first of all, I took all of these components except the housing here, all the gears, the drive shaft per se, the spool, these little components here. I gotta get a new one of these. The bushing. I've put those all in my sonic cleaner and cleaned them up as best as I could to get all the old grease off. So I'm going to show the assembly of the gearbox, how it goes back together without grease. But when you put this back together, you want to apply grease pretty liberally to all the gears, work them in, make sure that everything is greased up before you put it back together. So, all right, so getting into this, we're going to start with these two here. So we'll flip this one over, and you take your little gear, and you want the key of it, the hex, to be, come on, focus. You want it to be face down here, maybe. Come on. Go. There we go. So you want it to be like that. And that is going to go in first. Oh boy, this is going to be a challenge. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'll come back when this is done. Okay, so the first planetary gear set is in. The hex is facing this way. So now we're going to take our secondary gear set, and we're going to drop it in like this, and we're just going to kind of play around with it until it drops into place. Wait a minute. Okay, so we got our first gear set in here. The keyed gear in the center is facing this way. Well, the key in that gear is facing this way. And I had the layout of this wrong, so this planetary gear goes in third, and this ring gear, this big, ring gear, actually goes in second. So we'll drop that into place. And that's better with, two hands. And it rotates freely right now because the clutch on the back here, the clutch is set to free spool. So if this were installed on the four-wheeler, this is when you'd be able to pull it by hand and it would just unspool. So, and that makes it a little easier to drop this into place. Okay, so that is now in. And then we'll take our secondary planetary, well, I guess it's the stage 2 gear set, and we'll just kind of play around with it to get it to drop into place. There we go. And see that, it spins really good. Okay, so then we'll take our stage 1, I believe, or our final gear set, the one with 4 planetaries on it. We'll drop that in, and you want to make sure that this drive gear is facing up. So we'll go ahead and, again, same thing, just kind of fiddle around with it until it drops into place. There we go. And it's a little hard to turn it because of, gear ratios and crap. Yeah, so that's all it takes to put the gears in. They fit in, like they're supposed to. So then this is supposed to go with the round, I guess, cylindrical section down. So we'll flip it around here, put it in. Okay, you heard it click. So now that is keyed into the small gear down at the very bottom here. And if I kind of one-hand this here and turn it, you'll see that the gears are just very slowly moving. So that, basically that shows how you get your power. So these gears are not moving very fast. The center shaft is moving quickly, and it's spinning that inner shaft quickly. But because of gear ratios and all that, the outer one and the drive on the spool is turning slowly, but you have a very high torque. And that's why this gearbox and this winch can pull 3,000 pounds. So from here, get some of these towels out of the way. There's a little O-ring that sits in the groove here. Okay, if I kind of get that into position there. So you want to make sure that O-ring is on there. Have grease on it, because that'll lubricate it and it'll help it seat. And then, let's see, from there, let's see, we want this on here. Right? Maybe. Okay, pause. We'll come back when this is assembled. So this is a quick kind of after the fact thing that I forgot to mention. So for these types of gears and just the application of a winch, you want to use a moly type grease. I mean, any kind of grease that says moly fortified, moly EP, which is EP, which is the STP brand. Any kind of moly grease is what you want to use, because the molybdenum that's in these greases is what gives you your anti-wear properties. Again, these gears are not moving at high RPM. They're not at high temperature. They can get up to a high load, but the type of grease is not going to affect the gears in that respect. So again, any kind of moly grease that you get at AutoZone, O'Reilly's, whatever, that's what you want to use. Okay, so from here, once you got your gear set back in the housing, you're going to take your plate and you're going to set it back in like this. Okay. And then you're going to take your bushing, your metal bushing, and you're going to have the flange of it facing upward. You're going to go in here, put it in, and then you'll see there's a little tab or a little peg right here, and you're going to pull the bushing, maybe, until it kind of snaps into position there. It doesn't take like really any force at all, but so that's good to go. And then obviously with, you know, all of this greased up and you got grease on here, you're going to take your spool and put it on and just kind of move it around. Oop, bushing came out. Don't do that. Just like that. Until your spool is now meshed in. And then from here, you're going to take your drive shaft, we'll call it, and put the cylinder section down in until it meshes into place. Okay, so I feel it meshed with that tiny gear that's down at the very bottom. And now you're going to take your sprocket and just drop it in. There's the hex on there, meshes with the hex. Okay, and there you go. So now the gearbox, for the most part, is fully assembled. And then you'll mesh this up with, you'll take this sprocket and mesh it on the motor, just like that. And then these little studs will mesh up with these lugs, I guess, which gives you your drive. Yeah, so obviously if you don't have another messed up bushing, this one will go onto the spool like that. And then, well, I just broke it even more. So, you know, it'll be on there like that. And then you'll take that and mesh it to that surface and put it back together. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to fully assemble this right now because obviously I need another new bushing. But from here, it's very simple. You just, you know, put it back onto here. You put your weather seal. Let's see. Yeah, you put your weather seal in that groove right there. Grease it up. Put your seal in. Put it on, and then you just put your, I guess we'll call these longer bushings. You put those on there, screw it back together, call it a day, go have yourself a beer. So, yeah, so that's how you assemble the gearbox, and I guess how you would put it back together, and then hopefully you get yourself a working winch. So when I get this back together, I'll show a little clip of it running, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna go throw it away. So anyway, take it easy.